not only on myself, on my team as well.
Yeah.
Basically, we had to pay salary so that I can show to immigration office that
Yeah.
I'm a good worker. So
This episode, I sit down with Stas Shakirov, CEO of Humy.ai, a platform transforming education by bringing historical and language arts learning to classrooms through AI.
Hey, hi Stas. Thanks for joining me on the podcast.
pleasure to be here, Vishesh. Thank you for inviting me.
We met, I think. Oh yeah, you booked the $1 call, which uh, converted to a longer engagement. So
Mm.
through advisory, we actually met through advisory. How did you find about the advisory?
Yeah, one of our existing advisors recommended me to just book a call and see what happens. And
Oh, nice.
yeah,
And do you know where he or she found the? Because I don't think I know them. If I'm mis.
yeah, I think that's the magic of LinkedIn. Share something about yourself, and then some strangers book calls with you. I think, yeah, that guy is from the States. Um, we've been working together for a couple of months now.
Nice. Yeah, it's been fun knowing your journey. Do you want to talk a little bit about what Humi is doing right now and who your customers are?
Yeah, of course. So, Hume is a web platform for teachers, primarily history and social studies. Now we're also expanding into language arts and literature. So we allow them to bring historical figures to their classrooms, and that drives engagement and curiosity of kids. We also do AI powered and graded assignments. So we help them to prepare for tests or evaluate knowledge. We have about 60,000 signups that is bringing about 300 paying teachers and about 30 schools. And now we are starting our conversations with US districts. And I was an engineer founding in the founding team, co-founder. Recently, me and my co-founder decided to kind of separate, and my co-founder will probably start another company, and I will be leading this one as CEO.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Parting ways from co-founders can be a bumpy ride. How are you doing in terms of transition?
I mean, it's a lot of new things. I don't write code anymore. I talk to customers, but I think overall I'm personally fine. It's a bit painful to lose a co-founder full time, but he is still supporting the company. Like we talk weekly. He's on the company board, and yeah, I think we will manage it.
Interesting. So you guys started with a different product. Do you want to talk about how you ended up with history teachers and what was that journey like?
You're right. When we started the company, our first product was actually mental health. We wanted to help people let go of social anxiety or fear of talking to strangers. And
Mm,
we built the product, we launched it, we got accepted to Startup Accelerator in Stockholm. Um, and then we spent 6 months iterating and building it, but we couldn't find commercial traction. We couldn't pay our bills. And then we had to pivot into Hello History, which is a second iteration of our company. It allowed people to chat with historical figures. And very quickly, it got pretty popular in the States and UK. And we realized that majority of the customers are actually history teachers, and they want the same experience but on the web. So we built a
mm.
Hume, which is basically an evolution of that idea, but not as a mobile app, but as a web platform. So that's the short story.
So what's it like? I'm sure before this you
Yeah,
didn't have that much to do with history teachers.
yeah,
How do you cope up with serving an audience like that?
yeah. It's very interesting. It's basically we need to exercise our empathy every day because,
Hmm.
like, I'm not a teacher, and back in school, social studies was one of my favorite topics. But I pursue programming and software engineering in the university.
Hmm.
In general, it's just applying the best practices of product development, detaching from your own needs, talking to customers, understanding what their needs and problems are, and trying to solve that creatively. So we've been doing it again and again with almost every feature. Building, rebuilding, seeing what works, iterating again.
What are some of the things you do to engage more with customers?
Yeah, one of the things that worked for us was basically offering uh, free monthly subscription in exchange of feedback. So we basically, in our product update monthly, we allow them to book calls with the founding team. And then I jump on the call, I ask, about how their day is going, what type of products are they using, what they don't like about them, what they like about them, what type of things they like about our product, and what they don't like. And then by the end of the call, I either offer them, maybe I will pay you $30 for this 30 minutes, or you will receive free membership in our platform. And majority of them, I think 90%, they prefer to keep the membership, which is also a great signal for us.
Yeah, yeah. And so this goes out as a message in your monthly email update.
Mhm.
And you went from a mental health app to this teaching platform. How did you go about acquiring more customers?
Yeah, so back in mental health, we were going to specialized communities on Reddit and Facebook, uh, because social anxiety, even though it's a stigmatized topic, some people are quite open about it, myself included. I quite anxious as a teenager, and still, it's not, it's better, but yeah, I still need to work on it. And as well as many other people, they just talk. It blocks them from engaging in very normal life situations at work or in private life. So we try to basically talk with them on internet. But with educators, what we've built works so well that they just find us organically. They talk about us on the conferences, they share it in schools, and we haven't even started proper marketing yet. What we work with is basically inbound.
So people are already looking for you.
Yeah, that's right.
The space is so new, right? What are they typically searching in your case?
Yeah, the honest answer, I don't yet know. I need to look into the data. Sometimes they search for the brand name itself, Humy or Hello History, probably because they hear it on conferences or from colleagues.
Yeah. What was the mental health app called? And is it still around?
Yeah, it's still around. It's called Facing It.
Facing it.
Yeah, like facing your fears, facing it.
Those two products are still out there making money for you, or you've shut them down?
No, they are making money, but we're not investing in building new features. Look at infrastructure costs versus the revenue it brings. They are profitable, but they're not paying the company costs, but they're paying their own kind of infrastructure costs.
Hmm. Interesting. You said you've stopped coding completely. How do things move when you suddenly go from full throttle as a CTO to zero coding? Or is it not zero yet?
It's not zero. I still, yeah, fix some bugs, but I know it's just different. I think I get a lot of energy by talking to customers, teachers, and sometimes even students, school principals, district leaders. So I naturally, yeah, I think it helps with moving forward and just building the company, because maybe it's something psychological when you receive feedback kind of face to face, even though on video call, you can understand what they're talking about a bit better. And then you can translate it into perhaps feature requirement or a priority board. And of course, I know that I still have this capacity to build, but maybe the company requires slightly different skill set right now, which I'm developing, like sales and people management.
Bulk of your customers on this new product or the last pivot,
Mhm.
are from the US. How has the experience been selling to schools in the US from Europe? You're based in Sweden right
Yeah,
now.
we're based in Stockholm. Interesting, like people get surprised when they hear the story. Two guys from Sweden that are not even Swedish are selling this volume of in sales to schools, public schools in US. Like they say, yeah,
Hmm.
you're onto something with your product and tech. We made the decision quite early that we will focus on English and US curriculum because of the market size, and we just went there directly. Time zones
Hmm.
might be slightly more difficult, but overall, teachers love what we've built, and they are ready to pay, even though we don't have a subsidiary there. We're working through one of our partners in the US, like legally speaking, when we enter agreements with schools.
Ah,
But
interesting.
eventually, we're planning to open a subsidiary there and keep the company in Sweden, and maybe we'll repeat the same in UK and Australia.
Did you have to dive a little deeper into the US history curriculum itself, the school curriculum itself, while building this, or curriculum doesn't matter and this is geography agnostic? How does the product work?
No, I think it matters a lot, and history is not objective. So we had to work and still working every day with actual teachers from the States. Um, they are advising us on both product and content within the product.
Hmm.
And one of the features that we have developed is an ability for teacher to influence, limit, and direct the conversation in the way they teach it. Because history, even in the states, it differs from state to state. So in the way they put emphasis on different historical events in Texas can be completely different from New York. And these two states are our biggest by volume and amount of customers. So we need to enable product customizations that will work in basically both of these states and also other states.
Hmm.
But in short, it's a lot of conversations with teachers just to understand what we need to build and how, and then validating it with our own understanding how kind of what's our vision and what are the best practices in product development.
There's a lot of talk about chat GPT wrappers as a startup. I'm
Yes.
sure you must have heard that. Dive a little deeper into what were the challenges in terms of building an application over chat GPT, and how are you not just a simple wrapper?
Yes, we are building on top of ChatGPT, so that's our base model. I think that the value is coming from a mix of clever design, clever idea, and good technical solution and a brand.
Hmm.
So that's where I see value today. In the future, we are considering training or fine tuning our own models, but from experience, it seems like even if you fine tune something today, the next version of fundamental models will be much better. So you are winning maybe 6 months in quality, and then you need to do this work again. So our strategy
Hmm.
from the start has been use the best commercial model and get the most out of simple solutions like prompt engineering and RAG. That's what we did. And challenges initially, we always wanted to use the best in terms of quality. So now we're using GTP 4.0. When the next one will be launched, we will switch it as soon as possible. But limits in token window and amount of tokens per minute has been a problem, but we solved it by kind of load balancing, deploying multiple instances in Azure and just distributing the traffic in many instances.
Hmm.
So besides that, just making the prompts work, that will require some time and engineering. So we did that just by testing different versions a lot, sometimes manually, sometimes automatically. We wrote tests basically that generate input and then validate the output, is it good enough for this case? If so, maybe we can launch it to production. If not, we need to update the prompt or use a more clever model.
And so, what are you using for observability and testing?
Yeah, we have in-house essentially.
Hmm.
It's part of the product itself. Maybe in the future we will build integrate one with one of the external tools, but student privacy is very important. So we don't want to send the messages from students to any tools unless we can self-host it.
Yeah, makes sense. Was that a concern with teachers when they started trying out the product?
Yeah. We had to make special design decisions for them separately. The product itself consists of two apps. One is for teachers and another for students. And
Hmm.
they are technically very different. The one with for teachers, it has stable accounts. You can create an account, you can delete it. The one for students, it works with guest links and it's hosted separately and it has way stricter privacy settings. So we're not using any analytics on it. We're not tracking what students are writing, and we're not collecting any data besides the actual messages from students. And
Hmm.
that's because student data is heavily regulated.
Yeah, makes sense. And so, how are you managing to get feedback from the students?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So far, some teachers they ask for permissions from the parents of the students, and then I can log in on a group call and then ask the class, not for a specific student, but class itself. And sometimes teachers also get feedback, pass through feedback through them. One student said this, and another said that, and that's the overall impression that I got from the class. So there are ways you can collect feedback, but what can I say, it's much easier than getting feedback from social anxious people. That was very difficult. No one wants to talk
Really?
about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, makes sense. Even though it's behind the scenes, people were not open to giving feedback in that scenario.
no. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. You moved to Sweden to start this company, or
Yeah.
you're not from Sweden. How has the journey been to start a company in a country where you've just immigrated?
Yeah, actually I had a dream like since I was 16 years old. I don't know where I heard it and like from whom, but I just wanted to start my tech company. I didn't even know what startups are, the fundraising, uh, VCs, I didn't know anything about it. I just was fascinated by programming. I was a bit faster in solving those computer science challenges in my class. And then I decided that I will study computer science in university. And then I realized that I actually love building. I love building more than studying. And then after 2 years of studying, I quit university and joined one of the startups back home in St. Petersburg. So since I was 20, I've been building consumer facing apps for different companies and different countries. And but I couldn't meet any kind of potential co-founders. So I thought the first step was to actually move to a city or a country where they have a much vibrant and much more developed startup scene. And Stockholm is one of them. So I moved here as a kind of software engineer, joined one of the startups, built them mobile app, hired, led the app team. And then in that company, I met firstly a friend, and then we decided to start the company together. And he was a product manager there. So that's mixing startup stress on top of integration and on top of work visa. Yeah, that's not easy. It's not for everyone. But now I have permanent residence in Sweden. I'm going to apply to citizenship. But it's a lot of work, a lot of, especially the stress was the highest during periods where I was not sure if I can extend my work permit or not, because the kind of legal status was dependent on the performance of the company. And then, like back home, there is war with Ukraine, which I don't support, and I just didn't want to go home, and that was not an option.
Yeah, the startup basically had to do well enough for your visa to be. Yeah, that's a lot of pressure.
And
I
not only on myself, on my team as well.
yeah,
Basically, we had to pay salary so that I can show to immigration office that
yeah,
I'm a good worker. So we
yeah.
had to
I've been through
pay.
that.
We had to find kind of solutions. How can we pay salary without running out of money?
Yeah,
Yeah, but we solved it in the end. I got my permanent residency, so I can stay in Sweden. I actually started two more companies here. One for kind of private holding company, and I'm in the board of another company that I'm kind of helping out. So Sweden is
nice.
now my home and new base.
Yeah, yeah. The law doesn't make any sense. So I went through something similar in the US, and yeah, it's weird that you have to. Your company can make money, but you're forced to do things like pay out salary
Yes, yes,
that is at a certain
yes,
threshold so that you can maintain legal status
yes,
while you're draining the company.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. You have to take the risk, and you have to basically take the best out of the situation that you are in. So in my case, just saving for 6 months of runway, like personal runway, and having okay conviction about an idea, which I mean, in the end, it didn't work, but we pivoted into something new. But
Hmm.
just also just believing in yourself and your abilities. I think as an as an engineer, I could always go back and take full time job. That gave a lot of safety, at least psychological safety. But yeah, some people get surprised, like, how did you manage to kind of do this, not knowing if you can actually stay in the country? But
It is hard.
yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Being an immigrant and going through all that stress of managing the works like visa status, launching a company, all that you've gone through sounds very stressful, including the new direction the company is taking.
hmm.
Uh, how do you deal with all the stress? Tips for other founders dealing with this level of stress?
Many people, they link their identity to their job and their title on LinkedIn or any kind of activity that they do. Like you are what you do, but you are not just that. So I think
Hmm.
besides just building, I have other things in my life, like where I can express creativity or take challenges, accept kind of fears and work with them. Having some kind of things you can detach to from work. I think that's good. Just don't do unhealthy things like quit smoking, quit drinking, quit partying, sleep well, eat well, exercise well, take vitamins. I don't know, check your diet, all these things. Like when I was starting out building, my habits were a bit worse, and I was at some point smoking, but quickly
Hmm.
realized that one of the jobs is of a founder, startup founder, is to take care of yourself. Like you need to prioritize your health and mental health because that affects your work and relationship with other people in your company and outside of it. So basically, taking care of your own needs, I think, is very important. And maybe when it comes to immigration, just talking with other immigrants and other startup kind of builders is also very helpful. It has been helpful. Previously, I did some cognitive behavior therapy, like for social anxiety, some other things. Now I'm trying psychoanalysis for the first time in my life, and that's very interesting as well. It's not, it doesn't have the same level of evidence in helping you maybe change your life, but it makes it like I think I'm getting more answers to the problems I've been asking myself long time ago, and it's just very different. So maybe it's something I would recommend to other founders to at least to try it
I,
once and see what happens. In cognitive behavior therapy, usually when you go there, they start from assessing your behaviors, your thoughts, and your emotions. And they ask you,
right,
what do you want to change in your life? And then they try to give you practical strategies how by changing your behavior you can influence emotions or thoughts, or other way around. Let's say you're thinking, I'm not an interesting person, but they help you find counter evidence against it, that maybe you are actually quite interesting. It's just you don't talk enough about what you do. And that might give you an insight. Oh, I actually need to talk more about what I do so that people find me more interesting, for instance. But in psychoanalysis, you don't talk about what you need to change. You just go deeper and deeper into your subconscious, the thoughts and emotions that you either not noticing or don't have the language to label, or just blocking out because they were very old or quite just forgotten. And by doing, you might also in the end change the way you behave or do things, but the process is a bit more intimate and it's also much slower. I don't think 10 sessions in psychoanalysis, I don't think it's enough. But in cognitive behavior therapy, I think 10 sessions, if you actually invest in it, you can change some aspects of your life when it comes to facing fears. I'm talking from experience. Maybe for some people it will take more than 10 sessions, but so
right.
that's my kind of comparison. And it takes time to find the right psychologist, uh, because it's
Yeah.
also, you need to build the relationships, kind of develop.
Are these covered
Sorry?
in Sweden? Are these covered by like the free healthcare or
Yeah.
they are?
But it's not free. You need to pay, I think, approximately for 25 minutes.
Yeah, still not bad.
It's
Yeah.
not bad, yeah. I think a lot of people don't, they know about it, but they don't use it because of the stigma.
Mm.
Like you don't
Yeah,
want to
that's
be
true.
labeled as, I don't know, crazy, or I, it's just a lot of stigma around. But I think many people, especially if, I think the level of self care should correspond to the level of stress in your life. Otherwise, the stress starts to manage
When,
you, instead of you managing your own life. So you need to take care of that and prioritize just self care activities.
yeah, I've seen a lot of founders on both sides, like
Mm.
few that completely focus on the work aspect and smoke a lot.
No, yeah,
Eating habits are all out of control. Is all out of
no,
control. Yeah, not a good idea for sure. If the business is doing well and you are going in the reverse direction, it will catch up, right?
no, yeah. And if not, if it's going well, at least you don't have high levels of stress. But if it's not going well and your mental health is not going well, it's even worse. No one,
Yeah,
yeah, it's, you're not helping you, you're not helping your employees, your partners, your investors. There's basically, you're avoiding responsibility of taking care of yourself. Don't do
yeah.
this if you are
Don't do that.
early stage startup founder.
Uh, what's the future? What are the next 6 to 12 months looking like for you?
I, given the feedback from the teachers, I think we're in the point where we have the product that customers love. What we need to solve is um, go to market and sales. And this is a
Hmm.
way easier problem to solve than building something like from zero to one. Serving teachers in the US, we will also explore including more stakeholders from education field within the product and potentially solve some of their needs. And hopefully Humy will become the infrastructure of education. But I understand that it will take me probably another 5 years of my life to build. So it's a long
Yeah.
journey.
It is a long journey. So you're planning to, do you intend to go beyond history, or you want to focus on history
Um,
in history?
yeah, we will go beyond certainly. The question is that when, um,
Hmm.
and we're still answering this question. We're going towards more and more towards language arts, uh, teaching comprehension, grammar, vocabulary, and similar skills, languages as well. But we're just starting out.
Interesting. So Duolingo could be a competition. Do you,
Not
do
now,
you,
but eventually, yes. Eventually, yeah.
cool. Thanks for joining me on the podcast. It was fun chatting, and I
Yes.
wish you all the best for your journey.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
If you found this valuable, you can subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or whatever your favorite podcast app is. See you in the next episode.